Hello and welcome to Transformation Now. Hi, I'm Rita, rocker, speaker, author, trainer with SoaringHigher.rocks. And I'm just with you today to finish on some of the material in my book, Hope at the End of Your Rope, Steps to Rebuild Your Life. And I was talking about a lot of rebuilding, upgrading, remodeling. Hey, if we're going to rebuild our life, let's focus on really upgrading it and remodeling it so it's so much better than before. You know, as I mentioned in the previous program, we go through so much, and the last few years have been so crazy and caused a lot of fear. And people have felt so pushed down and isolated and frustrated and afraid. And so what I want to continue talking about is from the book, and then also the workbook that I have that I would be very happy to forward to you, with lots of lessons in it, lots of things that you can do to take the steps to transform your life. Transformation is everything. I love the word metamorphosis with the butterfly. That's always been my very favorite word and thought, is it's a striking change in appearance, character, or circumstances, usually by supernatural means, which of course in my mind is God, because He's our Father and He loves us and will direct us if we let Him. I've had many years where I wasn't really listening to Him. I wasn't following Him. I was just wallowing in my own messes, so to speak. And so always think, though, He's there. He knows. He understands. And so you do have the power to soar and move up and not stay where you are, no matter what has happened to you in your life. And I've gone through just about anything that you'd ask me, I'd say yes. Unfortunately, I have. However, there are so many incredible stories of people who have risen. You know, I think of Dancing with the Stars, and they had a lot of people on there. I mean, one lady couldn't hear different things. I remember a veteran who was horribly wounded in Iraq, and he danced with his partner. He was missing his left arm and his right leg. And he danced beautifully, and he was one of the top few. How do you do that with one arm and one leg? And he used kind of a crutch thing and worked with her, and it was beautiful. So it's like, well, how can I say I can't do something when he danced on Dancing with the Stars with opposite arm and leg missing? I mean, that was just amazing. And, you know, people that have, so many people, I mean, Nick Vujicic, no arms, no legs, one little flapper under his hip. And that's how he grew up. You can't even take care of yourself going to the bathroom. You can't feed yourself. You can't do anything because you have nothing to work with. And he's an international author, speaker, impacting lives all over the world. He's married to a beautiful woman and he has 2 beautiful kids. Okay. Do we have a choice? Can we say, oh, I can't do it because I don't have such and such? No. You could look at Nick Vujicic. You could look at so many people and veterans and different ones who have lost limbs. The young mother who had no arms, legs, but no arms, who could literally drive, change her baby's diaper. I don't know how, but she wasn't going to let the fact that she had no arms say, hey, you can't do that. You're just going to have to sit here and have somebody take care of you the rest of your life. No. She took control of her life. And as I've mentioned a couple other times about a lady who lost her arm completely, not even a shoulder, in an accident where they couldn't put a prosthesis on there, and she jerked her shoulder around, and she was one of the most beautiful violin players I've ever heard. How do you do that? She wasn't going to let it be an excuse that, well, I can't do this. Or Bob Wieland, who lost his legs in the Vietnam, and you know, he was trying to be an example to other people. I mean, he had half of his body gone, and yet he worked out really hard, lifting weights to try to build up his body, and he entered an international weightlifting championship for like the bench press and stuff, and he won because he wanted to show, especially younger people and other veterans, you don't have to sit in a room in a wheelchair and look out the window every day. But then they took the title away from him because he was not wearing regulation clothing, which included shoes. He didn't have any legs. That made me mad, and I was crying, and I thought, good grief. Did he let that stop him? No. He built up his body even stronger, the top half that he had. He had apparatus and some things built for his hands and the trunk of his body, and he walked, I guess, mostly across America to help raise attention to overcoming, plus also it was to raise money for hungry people too, for food. But he's clear down there. So he's breathing in exhaust on the interstate and doing, I can't even imagine the labor that took, but I saw videos of him, and I thought, you know what? He didn't even let the fact that they took his title away from him keep him down. He kept going. I've seen young people play guitars with their toes. I mean, how can we really say, I can't do this? I've seen too many people that do things that you're going, I don't know how, but they did it, and they're doing it. If they can do that, I can surely do more with my life. And so I always think of the fear, the choices, all those things that have been controlling, us to a certain direction. And so think about those kind of people, and then think of the skills that you want to learn that will open certain doors for you. I talk about this a lot, but it's so important. We have to keep building up our skills. Most of the time, like I mentioned before, that I watch TV, 90% of it is not movies and just junk stuff. It's actually on health, on motivation, on inspiration, educational programs, learning things, even as an older person, because that's how we go forward. And then it inspires us to go, yeah, I want to do that too. I can learn. I'm going to take what I'm learning on these programs on TV, and I'm going to use them to help me be more confident, more skilled in getting the job I've wanted all my life, but didn't think, no, I can't do that. My family never did that. How could I do that? You'd be amazed at the things that you can learn and then take into the world to help other people. Join organizations where you can help other people. Join organizations where you would actually be a leader. Help them organize the events. Help them raise money for hungry people, whatever the case may be. We need to think about our jobs and our business skills, but we also have to have a part of us that thinks about what can I do to help other people. That's what really is the most rewarding thing in your life. I'm going to a nursing home tomorrow. I'm not with another young man, and I don't know how it's going to go yet, but I know that's where my heart is. And I know other people that are going to join us now, because their heart is, yes, I want to do these things over here. I've gone through a lot. However, I want to give to these other people because I'm going to feel awesome once I do that. And you see that love and the appreciation coming from the people that you took the time to minister to help, to feed, play the piano, sing, whatever the case may be. And so that's so important to add that huge, important element to your life, as well as just what am I going to do? It's not all about me. No, it isn't. It's about us in this world as God's kids. So think about that. Necessary steps to recreate pieces of my own life. Been working on those again. Like I mentioned the TV, not going to the bars, not spending $6 a cup on coffee, making your own coffee, adding that money together, help feed other people, help pay for a class that you want to take. Something like that, okay? What are we doing? Not taking late night calls from somebody who wants to, hey, can I come on over? And it's like 11 o'clock at night. Oh, heck no. No, I'm not that. I'm not that kind of person. Don't treat me like a piece of meat. Go find somebody else somewhere else, because that's happened to a lot of people too. So just think about those things and what it will take to recreate your new life, to build up your self-esteem, your self-respect, your skills, and just that mind, the positive mind. Art and music, again, I've talked about, but if you love art, go to an arts event or look at art online, or just go out to places where things have been made beautiful with trees and plants and all that. Sometimes that's very helpful. I've been listening to a lot of inspirational music, Christian music, or watching beautiful scenes of all kinds of things in nature when it's time to relax and get the mind off the stress. So do things that are going to take you in the opposite direction from maybe the angst or stress that you may be feeling at the time. Again, I mentioned like YouTube. Do you like to dance? Maybe you don't have a partner now, but you can get on there. You can learn any kind of dance on YouTube, have your little imaginary partner, and then go out where there is a dance. And you're confident because you can do it. And you're not going to sit in the corner and just feel like, nobody's going to dance with me. No, maybe made your new hairstyle, a new makeover. When I used to watch makeover programs, but it was kind of fun because people felt very unworthy and inadequate. Some of them just downright felt ugly. They felt all these things, but then when they got their makeovers, they totally transformed into a confident person who was happy. And yes, I'm just as good as everybody else. I'm not a little wallflower, that kind of thing. So sometimes it's just a matter of I do those kind of trainings. I can help people with all kinds of image makeovers and wardrobe and etc. But I have watched so many programs of people, okay, this is the way to put your makeup on. This is the way to dress for your particular body style. This is the way to carry yourself, communicate. You can learn anything on there. So do those things that will help you go forward. Take the time, make the effort to do that. It's powerful. And you start feeling so much better, so much stronger, so much more confident. So if you go out and meet people, you know how to shake their hand, you know how to look them in the eye, you know how to hold your body so that you look not arrogant, but confident. Why? Because you took the time to learn those things, and you feel so much better. You start conversations with people you never would have before, because you spent time learning, making the choices to go forward instead of staying stuck. So again, and I've mentioned before, volunteering is really, really important to sow some love, some help, some educational things, whatever, into other people's lives. That will build you up. You'll feel so good when you know that you've served someone else. It's not all about me, it's about us and blessing other people. So I really, really recommend find an organization where your heart is, whether it's for kids, whether it's for sports people, whether it's hospital visitation, whatever the case may be, and add that to your life. It will make a huge difference. And then setting healthy new boundaries of what you will not accept anymore. I can't stress this enough. I have stressed it a lot. But how will you allow other people to treat you? I'm not going to allow that person to talk to me that way anymore. I'm not going to allow that person to constantly criticize me and make me feel badly because they hate themselves so much. I know a gal that we were friends off and on for a long time, and she has gotten just about everybody to not want to associate with her anymore because it's always spouting off anger, criticism at the other person, doing all the other things because she's angry, and so she just wants to make everybody else feel badly about themselves so she feels better about herself, and that happens a lot. But she's been losing just about any friend she's had because of that, because they go, too toxic, I'm not doing this anymore. And so I had to learn that the hard way and not keep saying, okay, well, I'll let it go this time. No, there comes a point when it's like, okay, I will talk to you, but I'm not getting together with you anymore. I'm not doing that anymore because it's not helping me any, and you're just, not who I want to be around anymore. So a lot of times we'll have to do that, knowing how you allow people to treat yourself. People treat us the way we treat ourselves. So when they see we're treating ourselves with respect and honor, they're either going to treat us that way or it's toodaloo, So think about that. How we allow people to treat us, that is a huge one. I know a gal, I haven't seen her now for quite a long time. She was, qualified for Mensa. Her IQ is extremely high. She would have been amazing as someone who could be a caterer with, really gourmet, fancy food. She could do anything in that respect. She could design things. She could make drapes and coverings for she could do anything. And yet, because of different things that happened in her life growing up, and then the marriage that she was in where she was treated very badly, she ended up, probably still is, pretty much destitute and scraping just to survive. And it's really sad when you see what an incredibly talented mind and skills and abilities. So there again, that's a choice. Am I going to let those things that happen to me say, well, you can't do that? No, can't do that anymore. So again, flatteringly new look, research has shown that 55% of our communication skills are non-verbal. Okay, I watch body language all the time when I'm talking with people or seeing somebody across the room. 55% is nonverbal, how we sit, how we stand, how we walk, what we're doing with our hands, all of those things. People are making judgments. 38% is the quality of our voice, which is our expressions, our pitch, and our tone. Tone of voice means everything. A lot of research, which just seems a little far-fetched, but that 7% are the actual words that we use. So, so many times you say, oh, that was great. And what's happening, it's like, yeah, that was great, but you're shaking your head and the person's like, no, not really. And so think about what you're saying. Is your body language saying the same thing? Or you say, no, yeah, everything's fine, and it's kind of one of these, grouchy looks like, oh yeah, right, it really isn't. So think about that. If other people are saying things to you that sound favorable, for instance, and yet they're turned away from you, their eyes are like little angry slits, they have, like just look on their face, then you need to stop and you need to talk to them and say, hey, you look a little concerned, what's going on? So one of the things to really help build up your self-confidence is to watch your body language, make sure it coordinates with what you're saying, and watch other people's body language, read their body language, see what they're saying, see what they really mean when they're talking to you, and then that will also help to build up your confidence, because like, oh, I can read this. I know how to respond better now when I see how they really feel. So it's really, really important. Physically, emotionally, job markets, relationships, watch that so closely. What classes, again, I've talked about that, so I won't much anymore, but free webinars, programs, contact me if you want. I've worked with communication skills, professional image, business etiquette, a lot of career development programs that can help you actually develop a career and gain the skills, the confidence that you need to be able to interview and be able to sell yourself as that confident individual. So always, the rest of your life, seek programs, seek courses, seek things that will continue to bring you forward. Do not stop because you're 60, 70, 80 years old, whatever. No, never, ever, ever stop. Keep going. Because you decide what you're worth, okay? We all decide what we're worth. I always felt like I was worthless, and that went through my life that way and did a lot of things. I can look back now and go, oh my gosh, you know what? If I'd have done this, I'd have been in such a better place. If I hadn't done that, I'd have been in such a better place. Well, you can't look back. That past is past. But you can always make sure you're not on the clearance rack. Put yourself behind the glass case where the valuables are kept, because that's where you are. Anybody who feels like they're on the clearance rack can just be picked up here and there, no. You're valuable. You're behind the glass case, and that's where you should be, to radiate all of your confidence, your ability, your qualities as a child of God. So every time we get uncomfortable, a lot of times we'll pause and we'll look back. Every time I've stopped and paused and not taken step forwards, I could look back like 5 years later and go, why did I pause? Why didn't I keep going forward? Now look where I am. Same place I was 5 years ago. And so think about that. And when you catch yourself doing that, you have to stop. I mean, even nowadays, it's like thoughts will come to me and they're not good thoughts. And I am literally telling myself, shut up. Do not think of that anymore. And then turning it around and thinking of a positive thought. No, this is where God wants me to go. No, this is what I'm going to do next. And sometimes we just have to tell ourselves to shut up and go, no, I'm not thinking that anymore. I'm not pausing anymore. I'm not going to stay in this land I don't want to be in anymore. No, I'm going forward. So think about that, because you decide. You do decide. There are situations in life that we can't just run away from. Whether it's small children or, situations, caregiving, whatever the case may be. We can't just totally up and leave everything, but we can sure dump a lot of things out and go from there. So look back, find out what it is, what choices, what decisions, what paths you took that held you back, and go, okay, I may be 20 years older, but I'm going forward now. I'm not staying there any longer. So think about all things that work together for the good. And the rest of that is to those who love God and are called according to his purpose. And I'm really, really focusing on that nowadays. And so difficult journeys, yeah, a lot of us have had some very difficult journeys and the experiences. But then stop and think, okay, how have these really hard, difficult experiences molded me? Okay, so think of 3 experiences that were rough, but you saw positive change come out of them, because we learn through all of those experiences if we allow ourselves to learn. I remember, like I had mentioned before, when I had gone to I was Mrs. Nebraska a long, long time ago, and went to the Miss America pageant, and my husband was dying of cancer, and being at a hospital in Oklahoma and thinking, oh, I'm here all by myself for weeks. And it was like, no, this too shall pass. What I learned out of that whole situation was you don't have to stay in it. You don't have to wallow in that forever. You're going through a really hard time, but this too shall pass. So don't end your life. Don't stay where you are, because this too shall pass. And you can go forward. You can get to the other side of this deep forest, whatever it is you're going through. But it shall pass. Okay? Sometimes people will end in life because somebody broke up with them. No, that wasn't the right person. This too shall pass. I'll find somebody who's right for me, who's better for me, because this thing that I've been in shall pass. So think about that. When I was in Haiti a year later, and I was a widow sleeping on a rock floor in Haiti, covered, even my eyelids, with bug bites. And, I went over there feeling pretty devastated, and it was hard. It was really hard. But to this day, I thank God for a hot shower. I thank Him for a refrigerator and food and all these things that these people over there don't have. And so, think about another difficult experience, how hard it was, but what you grew out of it for going through it. And now you can see things in a little different light. A lot of the abuse that I went through, then it's like, okay, but I've learned to set boundaries. And so that I can go forward, so that I don't allow bad things anymore. So there again, think about this experience, no matter how hard it was, but think about, what did I learn? I learned how to communicate. I learned how to mediate children's fights in the family, whatever it may be. What did you learn out of that? Because you can learn from every situation you've ever been in if you stop to think about how much you've gained, how much you've been strengthened because you got to the other side, because that too passed. And see other areas in your life to be redesigned. Then again, I'm thinking right now, upgrading, remodeling, think about that. Don't just go back to where you were, but think about, I'm going to remodel. This is going to be better than before. It's going to look better, it's going to be stronger, because I'm remodeling. I'm not just going back to where I was. And one of the key things too is, again, like getting rid of destructive tapes, forgiveness and unforgiveness. You've got to do that so you don't look at what's happened with this person or this thing. Nope, I forgave that because they don't have any holdover on me anymore. And so I think that's so important, because that can set so many people free. So hope leaves the past for a new beginning is very, very critical. Sometimes we're tempted to take a shortcut. Okay, you know what? I've gone to school for 2 years, or I've gone this, or I put up with this, and what? Nothing's changed. So I stop and I sit and wallow in where I am, or I go a whole different direction because it's quicker, it's more familiar. We stay in so many situations because they're familiar, even though they're totally wrong. And so a lot of times, am I just doing this because it's familiar and I'm afraid to take a step out? A lot of times, yes. And so if we cut ourselves short, don't finish our education, don't finish that plan to move to another city, don't, seek other opportunities, then 5 years later it's like, oh my gosh, here I am, same spot, haven't changed. And so please, sometimes when you think about stopping and cutting things short, the real plans, the real education things, think, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going forward from now on. So again, that means not letting people control your life. It means you are the driver, not the passenger in your life. Nobody else is, just you. Okay, so think about that. I quit college, I left church, I did do this, I didn't do that. I should have relocated. I have the opportunity to relocate, but I was too afraid, so I didn't, and now here I am. Think about those situations, because once you do and you're aware of those choices you made, it's like, okay, I see what happened. Not going to happen again. I'm going a different direction. So you always want to do that. And just why did you stop and turn around? Was that out of fear of failure, whatever the case may be? Was it because someone who did not have your best interest talked you out of it? Because that's to their advantage, to keep you there? Okay, think about that thing so you can let go of it. And then go forward. Think about other people who've lived in shelters and had nothing, like teenage girls. I've seen a couple. lived in shelters like through junior high and high school, don't have your own, you have nothing of your own really except a few clothes to wear. You're going to Harvard. Why? Because they weren't going to let that stop them. Ted Henter, the guy who was an international motorcycle champion for years, won all kinds of international awards and everything, and then he was in a car accident that took his eyes and he was completely blind, or a motorcycle accident and took his eyesight. He could have just sat there and felt, oh my God, what am I going to do now? Nothing, I can't see. And yet he created the original DOS disk operating system. He was part of that with the computer. He created and helped with building computer systems for blind people to be able to communicate. And then he actually entered, I believe it was a water skiing championship and won. He couldn't see. Okay, so there again, where's our mindset to? Think about Ted Henter. That one just, it was such a blessing to read about that. So whatever happened that you've gone through, it's over, it's done, it's past. Go out and finish your degree. Work towards a better job. Work towards changing your health, diet, exercise things. I'm working on that because I need to, and then just know that your heart's desire from here all out, hook it to God, let Him be your rope, have that synergy with Him, and ask Him to lead you to the people and the situations and the experiences that are going to make your rope stronger and take your life forward. That is so important. So you determine where you're going, make the choices that you need to, and say, God, please guide me, please lead me, take me to where I'm supposed to go. Lead me to the right situations, connect me to the right people, the right finances. He's doing that with me, and I know He'll do it with you too. So God bless you, thank you, and we'll see you again.